My cheating wife ruined our marriage. As I scrolled through my wife's phone, the sinking feeling in my stomach grew heavier with each incriminating message I uncovered. My heart shattered as I realized the truth. My beloved wife, the woman I vowed to spend eternity with, had betrayed me in the cruelest of ways. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over our cozy living room as I sat on the couch, laptop open before me. I was editing my latest YouTube video, trying to focus on the task at hand to distract myself from the gnawing feeling of unease that had settled in my chest. But distractions can only hold off reality for so long. A notification lit up my wife's phone, which was sitting innocently on the coffee table beside me. Normally, I wouldn't give it a second glance, but something about the urgency of the message caught my eye. Curiosity piqued, I picked up the phone, intending to hand it to her once she returned from the kitchen. What I found shook me to my core. The message wasn't from a friend or a family member. It was from a man whose name I didn't recognize, yet the content of the conversation was unmistakable. Flirtatious emojis, suggestive language, and plans for a rendezvous, all exchanged between my wife and this stranger. My hands trembled as I scrolled further, hoping against hope that it was some kind of misunderstanding. But the evidence was damning, laid out before me in black and white. My wife, the woman I loved more than life itself, was cheating on me. Anger, disbelief, and heartbreak surged through me in equal measure. How could she do this to us? To our marriage? Every memory, every promise we had made to each other flashed before my eyes, tainted by her betrayal. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, but the words caught in my throat. How could I face her knowing what I now knew? The foundation of trust upon which our relationship was built had crumbled beneath me, leaving nothing but a gaping chasm of pain in its wake. Hours passed in a blur as I sat there, grappling with the reality of our shattered marriage. The sound of her footsteps approaching the living room brought me back to the present, and I braced myself for the confrontation that was inevitable. But as she entered the room, her smile faltered at the sight of my tear-streaked face. She knew. There was no hiding from the truth any longer. Silence hung heavy between us, broken only by the quiet sobs that escaped my lips. And in that moment, I realized that our love story had come to a tragic end. My cheating wife had destroyed the very foundation of our marriage, leaving nothing but wreckage in her wake. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows across the room, I knew that the hardest part was yet to come, picking up the pieces of my broken heart and learning to live in a world where trust was nothing but a distant memory. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but the pain of betrayal remained a constant companion, a heavy burden I couldn't shake. Every corner of our once happy home echoed with the ghostly whispers of what once was, reminding me of the love we had shared and the trust that had been shattered beyond repair. I threw myself into my work, pouring my heart and soul into my YouTube channel, hoping to find solace in the distraction it provided. But no amount of views or likes could fill the void left by her betrayal. The laughter that once filled our home had been replaced by a suffocating silence, broken only by the hollow sound of my own footsteps echoing through empty hallways. Friends and family offered words of comfort, but their well-intentioned platitudes fell on deaf ears. How could they understand the depth of my pain when they hadn't walked in my shoes? How could they know the agony of being betrayed by the person you loved most in the world? I found myself replaying the events of that fateful day over and over again, searching for signs I might have missed, clues that could have warned me of the impending storm. But the truth was, love had blinded me to the truth, and now I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart alone. In the quiet moments of the night, when sleep eluded me and the darkness pressed in around me like a suffocating blanket, I found myself grappling with questions that had no easy answers. Why had she done it? Was our love not enough to keep her faithful? And perhaps most haunting of all, had our entire marriage been built on lies? But amidst the pain and the heartache, there was a flicker of something else, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. For in the depths of my despair, I found a strength I never knew I possessed, a resilience born from the ashes of betrayal. Slowly but surely, I began to rebuild my life, piece by painstaking piece. I surrounded myself with people who loved and supported me, who reminded me that I was worthy of love and respect. I threw myself into new hobbies and interests, rediscovering parts of myself that had long laid dormant beneath the weight of my grief. And as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I began to realize that perhaps, just perhaps, there was life beyond the pain. That while my cheating wife may have destroyed our marriage, she could never extinguish the flicker of hope that burned bright within me. For I had survived the ultimate betrayal, and in doing so, had emerged stronger than I ever thought possible. And though the scars of her betrayal would always remain, they served as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of love, even in the face of betrayal. As time passed, I found myself wrestling with conflicting emotions. Anger at my wife for her betrayal, but also a profound sense of loss for the life we had once shared. Despite the pain she had caused me, a part of me still longed for the happiness we had once known, for the dream of a future together that now lay shattered at my feet. But try as I might, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that lingered like a shadow over every interaction, every memory we had shared. Trust, once broken, is not easily repaired, and the wounds inflicted by her infidelity ran deep. Yet amidst the turmoil of my emotions, there was a glimmer of something unexpected, a sense of liberation that came from facing the truth head-on. For too long, I had been living in denial, clinging to the shattered remnants of a marriage that was no longer worth saving. With each passing day, I began to see that my worth was not defined by the actions of another, that I deserved better than to be treated with such callous disregard. And though the road ahead was fraught with uncertainty, I knew that I had the strength within me to face whatever lay ahead. Slowly but surely, I began to reclaim my life, piece by painstaking piece. I filed for divorce, severing the final ties that bound me to the woman who had once held my heart captive. It was a painful process, marked by tears and heartache, but with each signature on the dotted line, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders, a sense of freedom that I had long thought lost. In the days that followed, I found solace in the simple pleasures of everyday life, in the laughter of friends, the warmth of the sun on my skin, and the knowledge that I was finally free to forge my own path forward. The scars of her betrayal would always remain, but they no longer held the power to define me. And as I stood on the precipice of a new beginning, I realized that sometimes the greatest tragedies pave the way for the most unexpected blessings. For in the wreckage of my broken marriage, I found not only the strength to rebuild, but the courage to embrace the future with open arms. The journey ahead would be long and arduous, marked by twists and turns I could never have anticipated. But with each step forward, I knew that I was moving closer to a brighter tomorrow, a tomorrow filled with possibility, hope, and the promise of a love that was truly worth fighting for. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I found myself slowly but steadily rediscovering a sense of joy and purpose that I thought had been lost forever. With the support of friends and family by my side, I began to rebuild my life from the ground up, one small victory at a time. I threw myself into my work with a newfound passion, channeling my emotions into my YouTube content in a way that resonated with my audience on a deeper level than ever before. Through raw and honest storytelling, I shared my journey of heartbreak and healing with the world, inspiring others who might be facing similar struggles to find hope in the darkness. But amidst the whirlwind of activity, there were moments when the pain of my past would come crashing back with a vengeance, threatening to undo all the progress I had made. In those moments of weakness, I found solace in the simple act of breathing, in the reminder that every breath was a testament to my resilience, a declaration that I refused to let her betrayal define me. And as time passed, I began to see that her infidelity had been a blessing in disguise, a wake-up call that forced me to confront the harsh realities of my marriage and find the strength to walk away from a toxic situation. In letting go of the past, I had opened myself up to a future filled with infinite possibility, a future where I was free to pursue my dreams and chart my own course. But perhaps the greatest lesson I learned through it all was the importance of forgiveness, not for her sake, but for my own. For in forgiving her, I released the burden of anger and resentment that had weighed me down for so long, allowing myself to finally find peace in the present moment. And so, as I stand here on the threshold of a new chapter in my life, I do so with a heart full of gratitude for the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the love that still burns bright within me. Though my cheating wife may have left scars upon my soul, she could never extinguish the flame of hope that flickers within me, a flame that will guide me forward, no matter what challenges lie ahead. In the midst of my healing journey, there were moments when the ache of loneliness threatened to consume me. The quiet nights spent alone in my empty apartment echoed with the hollow emptiness of a life once shared with another. But in those moments of darkness, I found solace in the knowledge that I was never truly alone, that I had a community of supporters who stood by me through thick and thin. With their encouragement, I began to explore new passions and hobbies, embracing the opportunity to rediscover myself outside the confines of my failed marriage. I threw myself into volunteer work, finding fulfillment in giving back to others less fortunate than myself. And as I immersed myself in these new experiences, I found that the pain of my past began to lose its grip on me, gradually fading into the background as I focused on building a brighter future. But just when I thought I had finally moved on, life threw me a curveball that left me reeling once again. A chance encounter with my ex-wife brought all the memories flooding back with a vengeance, reopening wounds I thought had long since healed. In her eyes, I saw a reflection of my own pain, a reminder of the love we had once shared, and the betrayal that had torn us apart. For a moment, it was as if time stood still, as if we were frozen in the amber glow of what once was, suspended between past and present, love and loss. But as quickly as it had come, the moment passed, leaving me to grapple with the tangled mess of emotions that threatened to overwhelm me. In the aftermath of our encounter, I found myself wrestling with conflicting desires, to reach out and seek closure, or to let go and move on once and for all. The temptation to confront her, to demand answers, to make sense of the senseless, was strong, but deep down, I knew that true closure could only come from within. And so, with a heavy heart and a renewed sense of purpose, I made the conscious decision to let go of the past, to release myself from the chains of bitterness and resentment that had held me captive for so long. In doing so, I found a sense of peace that I had thought impossible, a serenity born from the acceptance of what was and the embrace of what could be. As I walked away from that chance encounter, leaving the ghosts of my past behind me, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders, a burden I hadn't even realized I was carrying. And in its place, I found a newfound sense of freedom, a freedom to live, to love, and to embrace the beauty of life in all its messy, unpredictable glory. For though my cheating wife may have left scars upon my heart, she could never extinguish the flame of hope that burned within me. A flame that would guide me forward, lighting the path to a future brighter than I ever dared to imagine. And as I stepped into the unknown, I did so with a sense of excitement and anticipation, eager to discover what wonders awaited me on the journey ahead. With each passing day, I found myself growing stronger, more resilient in the face of adversity. The pain of my past no longer held me captive. Instead, it served as a reminder of the depths of my own inner strength. And as I embraced the challenges that lay before me, I discovered a sense of purpose that had long eluded me. A purpose born from the ashes of my broken marriage, fueled by the determination to forge a new path forward. But just when I thought I had finally found peace, life threw yet another curveball my way, a chance encounter that would change everything. It happened on a crisp autumn afternoon, as I wandered aimlessly through the bustling streets of the city, lost in thought. Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of a familiar figure, a figure I never expected to see again. My heart skipped a beat as I realized who it was, a woman who bore a striking resemblance to my ex-wife. For a moment, I hesitated, unsure whether to approach her or to turn and walk away. But something compelled me to take a step closer, to confront the ghosts of my past once and for all. As I drew nearer, I could see the uncertainty in her eyes, the same uncertainty mirrored in my own heart. And yet, despite the years that had passed and the wounds that still lingered, there was a flicker of something else, a glimmer of recognition, of shared history and shared pain. In that moment, all the questions I had longed to ask came flooding back to me, questions that had haunted me in the darkest hours of the night, questions to which I knew there could never be easy answers. But before I could utter a single word, she spoke first. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry for everything, for the pain I caused you, for the mistakes I made. I know I can never make it right, but I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me." Her words hung heavy in the air, laden with the weight of years of unresolved pain and regret. And in that moment, I realized that forgiveness was not about absolving her of her wrongdoing, but about freeing myself from the chains of anger and resentment that had held me back for so long. With a deep breath, I looked into her eyes, the eyes that had once been the windows to her soul, the eyes that had betrayed me in the cruelest of ways, and found within them a spark of genuine remorse, a glimmer of redemption. And in that moment, I made a choice to let go of the past, to release myself from the grip of bitterness and anger, and to embrace the possibility of a future filled with forgiveness and healing. For though our paths had diverged long ago, we were forever bound by the ties of our shared history, by the love that had once burned bright between us. And as I watched her walk away, a weight lifted from my shoulders, a weight I had carried for far too long. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city streets, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a peace born from the knowledge that I had finally found closure, that I could finally lay the ghosts of my past to rest. And as I turned and walked away, leaving the echoes of our shared pain behind me, I did so with a renewed sense of hope, a hope for a future filled with possibility, and a love that was stronger than the sum of its parts. With each step I took away from that chance encounter, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders, as if the burden of the past had finally been lifted. The encounter had stirred up memories and emotions I had long tried to bury, yet it had also brought with it a sense of closure that I hadn't realized I needed. As I navigated through the bustling city streets, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I had come since the darkest days of my marriage. The pain and betrayal had once consumed me, threatening to swallow me whole, but now I stood tall, a survivor of the storm. In the days that followed, I found myself approaching life with a newfound sense of optimism and purpose. I threw myself into my work with a renewed vigor, pouring my heart and soul into my YouTube channel, and connecting with my audience in ways I never thought possible. But amidst the hustle and bustle of everyday life, there were moments of quiet reflection, moments when I allowed myself to truly process the pain of my past, and the healing that had taken place within me. I realized that forgiveness wasn't just about letting go of anger or resentment. It was about reclaiming my own power, about choosing to rise above the circumstances that had once held me back. And as I embraced this newfound sense of freedom, I found myself opening up to the possibility of love once again. Though the scars of my past still lingered, they served as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit, of the capacity to overcome even the greatest of obstacles. In the arms of someone new, I found solace and companionship, a kindred spirit who understood the depths of my pain and loved me all the more fiercely for it. Together, we embarked on a journey of healing and growth, supporting each other through the inevitable ups and downs that life threw our way. And as I looked towards the future, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, I would face them with courage and conviction. For I had weathered the storm of betrayal and emerged stronger on the other side, a survivor of love's darkest trials. In the end, it wasn't the pain of my past that defined me, but the strength and resilience with which I faced it. And as I continued to walk the path of healing and forgiveness, I knew that the best was yet to come, a future filled with endless possibilities, and a love that knew no bounds.